All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to more 428 Shibuya Scramble. My name is Raven from the Sky, and let's continue. Several people were on the ground nearby, evidently injured by the explosion. A girl in a hoodie was crouched among them, doing her best to tend to her injuries. Miku Morito, while walking along, upset at Luna's power for not introducing her to an Aki-Jujutsu dojo, she happened to cross the aftermath of the minivan explosion, unable to stand idly by when faced with such a horrific scene. She pitched in as best she could to help the move. Kano recognized her as the girl he talked to earlier during the traffic jam. "Police," he announced. "Get back, let me handle this." The girl was visibly relieved. "Help her," she said. She pointed to a figure lying on the sidewalk a short distance from the burning minivan. It was a Middle Eastern girl. She appeared to be unconscious. "I think she got hurt rescuing another girl about college age," the girl in the hoodie said. "College age girl? It might be Hitomi. What happened to the girl she saved?" Kano asked. The Good Samaritan looked around. "Huh? Where'd she go?" The rescuer had disappeared. "The girl here, the girl in the hoodie," gestured toward the fallen girl. I can't believe how fast she was. She spoke with a hint of awe. The way she moved to get that other girl. She was on a level way beyond mine. Kano took a look at the injured girl. Her figure looked rather delicate. It was hard to believe she was capable of great feats of athleticism. She started toward her, but Stanley stepped ahead of him. "Leave this one to me," he said. His expression was unusually stern, even for him. "Do you know her?" Kano asked. The American didn't answer as he checked the girl's pulse, then her pupils. "Hey, Stanley, don't you have other things you should be doing?" Stanley snapped. "Fine, then." Kano decided to collect some eyewitness accounts. Patrol cars and ambulances arrived at the scene in a steady stream. Once the vehicle fire was under control, things gradually began to calm down. Several officers worked to cover the area around the burned minivan with a blue tarp. Kano got his questioning underway, starting by flashing his badge at the man near the front of the crowd. "Excuse me, would you mind answering a few questions?" The man puffed himself up. "How about you answer a few questions for me? Was this an accident or an attack?" "We still don't know many details," Kano admitted. The man shoved his finger in Kano's face. "Let me rephrase that for you." Okay, we've already read this last video. So basically, we're looking at this from a different perspective. Did you happen to notice anything unusual prior to the explosion? Unusual? Now that you mention it, I think I heard a cell phone ringtone. Ringtone? No, never mind, forget that. There's no way the ringtone on someone's phone would be audible through all of that. The man was probably right, but somehow the idea nagged at Kano. He jotted down a note in his pad. Kano? It was Stanley. Perfect timing. "Thank you for your cooperation," Kano told the man. Then he hurried on his way. Stanley stepped in close enough to whisper. "Who was that guy?" "An eyewitness to the explosion, apparently." "Did he have any info?" "He said he heard a cell phone ringtone the time of the explosion. Not sure if that's significant, though." Stanley stood silently for a moment, thinking. "What about that girl?" Kano asked. "Has she woken up?" "No. I'm going to drive her to the hospital." "Huh? Why'd you do that yourself?" "Just look around," Stanley said. He cast his eyes over at the scene. There were still many injured people lying on the roadside. It seemed that the authorities hadn't sent enough ambulances. "But isn't your car back at Miramacho?" Kano asked. Under the circumstances, I think it makes sense for me to go back for it, Stanley replied coolly. Besides, I have a few things I'd like to ask her. Kano was curious. You do? Yes, Stanley answered the phone in English. As he listened, his demeanor changed. The blood drained from his face and his hand began to shrivel slightly as it gripped the phone. Kano had never seen him this shaken up. You got it, Stanley said at last. He hung up the phone and let out a sigh. What is it? Kano asked. Stanley headed into the alley without responding. Kano hurried after him. Once they were out of earshot of the crowd, Stanley finally spoke. That call right now was from Gordon, my superior. He broke off there and for a long while was silent. He appeared to be struggling with some strong emotion. Kano was getting impatient. What was it? If you're going to tell me something, then tell me. Kano decided not to press. If that was that difficult to talk about, you don't have to. No, Stanley said. I should tell you this. He braced himself before continuing. We were contacted on our end by the mastermind of this plot. Those international criminals you mentioned, correct, roughly 8 hours ago, infected Maria Osawa with the UA virus. Then they let her loose somewhere in Shibuya. Hold on. By UA, you mean... Kano thought back to his early conversation with Stanley. These criminals were trying to get their hands on a new drug, an antiviral drug developed by Kenji Osawa that had been shown to be effective against the UA virus. Stanley hesitated before continuing. This is a killer virus with a 100% mortality rate once it takes hold. Kenji Osawa's antiviral is your only means of combating it. A mortality rate of 100%, it has the incubation period of 12 hours. In another 4 hours, Maria Osawa will go symptomatic. After that, she will begin spreading the virus through the city. It's capable of airborne transmission. Following the onset of symptoms, the individual infected with the UA virus bleed from the lungs, and the virus is readily released into the air via coughing. The UA virus is highly resilient in the open air and can survive even after saliva or other fluids have evaporated. Simply getting within 2 meters of a symptomatic patient is said to carry a high risk of infection. Bodily fluids from deceased patients carry an especially high concentration of the virus, and anything contaminated with such fluids must be thoroughly sterilized before it's safe. Stanley nodded. If we don't administer Keiji Osawa's antiviral food, yep. And his voice was trembling now. Stanley spoke with complete certainty. Everyone in Shibuya is going to die. Okay, we've already read all this. When what's his name was listening in the window. Well then, we need to find Maria Osawa and get the antiviral to her as soon as possible. Just calm down. There's more to the story, Stanley was interrupted by a strange sound coming through from the upper floors of a nearby building. Unsure of what it was, the 2 men hurriedly relocated. And paused when they came to a vacant lot. The place was deserted, no need to worry about being overheard here. Paused when it came to a vacant lot. The place was okay. I think I read the. I'm sitting here dozing off. You said there was more to the story, Kano prompted. The antiviral in question is stored in cages of Sawa's laboratory. The lab is protected by a sophisticated security system, and apparently the storage area where the drug is kept requires fingerprint authentication from both Osawa and Tanaka. What? But Tanaka's... Kano couldn't help but gasp. Tanaka was currently a fugitive, the prime suspect in the kidnapping case. There was no chance of getting any fingerprint authorization from him at this stage. Is there any other way to get in? Kano asked. The door can also be unlocked via password in place of the fingerprint scanner, but we still need to know what Tanaka chose for his password. No. In any event, Stanley said it's essential that we track down and secure Maria. But, he went on to his voice grave. Even if we get Maria to safety, the Mastermind is going to... We get Maria to safety, the Master... Oh, yeah. Okay. If they want to, they can unleash a bioterrorist attack on Shibuya at any time. To put it bluntly, the lives of every man and woman and child in the city are in their hands. Kano felt the pulse of fear deep enough to give him a vertigo. He slowly tilted his back and his head and gazed at the sky, vast as blue as always. There had to be tens of thousands of people in Shibuya right now. They might all be dealt with, or dead within a day. Felt so unreal, Kano's mind almost couldn't process it. With an effort of will. 17. Whoops. 17 what, Raven? With an effort of will, he shook himself out of the daze. Now was no time to waver. We have to try, he said. The next 4 hours, we need to find Maria Osawa and figure out a way to stop this mastermind and the UA virus. The words were as much for himself as they were for his companion. Let's do this, Stanley. We might not always see eye to eye, but together I feel like you and I can find a way. But Stanley averted his gaze. My job here is simply to apprehend the mastermind. Kano felt the resurgence of his earlier anger at Stanley once again. He was putting his duties above human life. I'm sorry. Stanley's voice was quiet and a quiet mutter. You should get away from Shibuya as soon as possible, Kano. I'm seeing this through to the end. This isn't the sort of thing you can solve with just an effort of willpower. Even so, giving up isn't the Japanese detective way. Stanley let out a nasal chuckle. Listen, Stanley went on after a moment. This is just between you and me. The masterminds behind this kidnapping case is an arms dealer who goes by the name Alfred. Beyond simply selling weapons, illegal arms dealers are also frequently involved in smuggling weapons unlawfully obtained through deals with the government or military contacts. In recent years, the attempted bioterrorist attack on Kasumigaseki, a hotel bombing in Chicago. Alfred had a hand in all of them. What do you know about this criminal? Stanley's expression grew even darker. for a signature, extremely meticulous planning. But I don't mean meticulous in the same way you or I might normally think of it. Their plans are perfectly imperfect. Do you get what I mean? Kano shook his head. Alfred deliberately engineers accidents to make things complicated and unpredictable. It's difficult to get a good grasp of what's going on when the situation seems to be falling apart. People tend not to consider that coincidental. But in the end, they don't even realize they were playing right into the mastermind's hands all along. Kano could hear the intensity in Stanley's voice. I'm afraid that's all I can say. Stanley held out his right hand. Around Kano. See you around, Kano. If we're still alive, Kano let out a sink in for a moment. Nah, I'll shake your hand after we finish this case. With a slight smile, Stanley withdrew, and the two bumped fists instead. All right, we'll meet again, Kano. I'm sure of it. Yeah, see you then. No sooner had Stanley departed than Kuze's voice came in over the wireless. Attention all units. As of now, further investigation on the kidnapping case is suspended. The director's voice sounded strangely cold. I repeat, as of now, further investigation on the kidnapping case is suspended. Wait, hold on, sir, Kano shouted. What is it, Kano? Could you let us know why? We've received information that Maria Osawa has been infected with an unknown virus and has been released somewhere in Shibuya. That matched up with what Stanley had said earlier. An anti-bioterrorism security force will probably be deployed in Shibuya. Terrorism involving biological agents such as bacterial viruses. Biological weapons are easy to acquire and transport than nuclear weapons, and because they rely on an organism's natural ability to proliferate or infect, they can yield powerful results for low effort. For these reasons, recent years have seen widespread apprehension of about the possibility of that such weapons might be used by terrorists. This is no longer a simple kidnapping case. Our part in this is finished. No, it's not. We haven't managed to resolve anything. Kano, I assure you everyone else feels the same as you do. Kuze's voice had a cautionary tone. They're still performing an autopsy on the body found in the blue minivan that exploded. I'll let you know once we have a positive idea. Kuze out. ID. Director. But the line had already gone dead. Left to the laws, Kano gazed out at the cityscape. The sight of the bombed vehicle had calmed down briefly, but now that the news networks had begun reporting, the herd of onlookers was growing. There was also a sizable crowd gathered outside the large home electronics store. Large LCD televisions on display were showing a press conference being held by the governor in Tokyo. Kano might learn something new about the case. He decided to watch the broadcast. Kano's part in this case was over. He had to hurry and find Rumi before it was too late. Kano might learn something new about the case. He decided to watch the broadcast. Alright, we're working closely with the administration. We are keeping a careful eye on the situation as it develops. The governor's expression was solemn as he spoke. The moment he finished his statement, reporters bombarded him with questions. It seemed similar to the bioterrorist attack on Nagasaki 2 years ago. Is there any possible connection? What counterterrorism measures do we have in an event that tells you out? The governor was visibly disconcerted. If this does turn out to be a bioterrorist attack, we will establish emergency shelters with a large-scale quarantine station at Yoyogi Park. However, there are still many details that remain unknown. The politician was clearly struggling to maintain his composure. Can you comment on the rumors we're hearing that Shibuya might be blockaded off? Don't be ridiculous, the governor barked. What outlet are you with? Are you trying to start a panic? We don't even know all the details. Besides, it wouldn't even be possible to blockade the whole of Shibuya. The press conference continued. The governor and the reporters locked in a belligerent back and forth. Kano left the electronics store and headed for the cafe where Rumi and Shizu were waiting. He had to tell them both to get far away from Shibuya. Cafe La Triste seemed quiet when Kano arrived. Shizu was sitting alone. Kano scanned the establishment but didn't see Rumi anywhere. One of the staff greeted him. Welcome. Just one, sir? No, I'm meeting someone actually, of course, sir. The hostess smiled and went on. Shizu was glaring at him. Kano walked over to him and bowed deeply. It's a pleasure to meet you, sir. I'm Shimu Kano. You look like even more of a knuckle dragger than I thought. Shizu maintained his appraising stare. Had something she needed to do? So she stepped away for a while, he said after a long moment. Kano sat down across from him. There was a laptop computer open at the table. Right now the laptop is in sleep mode and there's nothing on the monitor. What are you using the computer for? Kano asked. I'm on the internet. Shizu's voice was low and gruff. The cafe has an internet connection. May as well start with a little small talk. What? So what? Again, Shizu glared at Kano. The words wouldn't come. No, actually, this is no time to be making idle chit-chat. If they got infected with the virus, Rumi and Shizu might die. Look, please, you need to leave Shibuya right away. Shizu's face contorted with confusion. What are you talking about? Kano wasn't sure if he should tell the truth or not. It was strictly prohibited from discussing the case with anyone outside the department. As a former policeman himself, Shizu ought to understand full well the secrecy an investigation required. but it wasn't like he'd just up and leave town without a good reason. Please listen. Alright. Please listen, Kano said. There's a risk of a bioterrorist attack. It's very important that you go, though. I'm not at liberty to tell you why. Both of these are valuable. Because he could just tell him to leave without, scaring him and telling him about the bioterrorist attack, and he'd find out anyway once he looked at the news. Decisions. We're going to go with A. Listen, there is a risk of... What's that? What I mean is risk of... Shizu pounded his fist on the table. Out! Kano just couldn't say it. Didn't matter who he was talking to. He couldn't make himself leak the details of an on-court investigation. Besides, there was no guarantee a bioterrorist attack would actually happen. They could just find Shakira Maria Sawa before she went symptomatic. Does this have something to do with the case you're working? Huh? You telling me to leave Shibuya? Does that have something to do with the case you're working? So why don't you run off with Rumi then? Shizu's tone was frank. Well, I mean, when Kano didn't have an answer handy, Shizu let out a single heavy sigh. Is your work important to you, he asked? Is it more important than Rumi? Well, again, Shizu cut Kano off as he waffled over. How's a stranger? Me? I used to put my work before my family. There was no question in my mind that combating society, ills, and solving cases was worth any price. And because of that, I did some pretty reckless things. Almost wound up dead more than once. Shizu paused, a forlorn look in his eyes. My wife did nothing but worry about me. So much that I didn't even realize when she'd worried herself sick. I was so caught up in my work that I wasn't even there for her when she finally passed away. It was all so very absurd of me. The waitress came by and set Kano's iced coffee on the table. It sat there, uncontrolled, still until Shizu looked up at it pointedly. With a tiny mood, Kano brought his cup to life. Told Rumi the same story. Shizu continued, but I didn't tell her how absurd it was. I told her that her father only did what he had to do. He took a sip from his glass of water. Their personalities are almost identical. I don't want her to suffer the same way my wife did. Jesus Fish clenched his lap. What was that? Made you become a detective in the first place? I got the job because I thought it would make Rumi happy. And then I guess also because I thought I'd make you like me, sir. It was the truth, but Shizu simply chuckled. Your goal is to get me to like you. You might as well not give up now. I'm sorry, Kano said. I can't do that. Are you this stubborn around Rumi? Shizu grumbled. I love your daughter, sir. I want to keep her safe to make her happy. Whenever I think about her, I just feel so amazing. I'm sure that you or anyone can empathize with that. Everyone has someone they want to protect who makes them feel that good. Dangerous. What you say might be true, sir. My partner was stabbed, and today his wife's birthday. Shizu arched his brow. Is he going to make it? I'm not sure yet. Last I knew, he was in critical condition. This is why I keep saying that the life of a detective is. Shizu's word trailed off in a lamenting murmur. Even so, dictum number 1. Never, ever lose sight. What's that? Something that a senior detective of mine very much said is the fundamental guiding principle I've stuck to as a detective, but I was wrong about the real meaning behind it. My partner was stabbed. There are people I want to rescue. So much has happened, and now I finally understand what those words mean. When you see someone in trouble, you help them. That's not something a good detective does. That's something a good person does. Oh, Kano took a good long look at Shizu's face. He had surprised himself, finding the words to speak his feeling so clearly, and he wondered what effect it had on the older man. I'm sure that from your perspective, as my future father-in-law, my being a detective means that I'm putting a life on the line. But that's not entirely true. I can only be myself. This is the kind of person that I am. I care about helping people, Even if I were a baker or a brewer or a bookseller, I'd still act the same way. You're being ridiculous. A banker and a detective don't assume anywhere near the United States. I suppose that's true. Kano fussed with his hair sheepishly. Shizuyu grumbled. I think I can see what kind of man you are. Sound oddly defeated. Which is why now there's no time to just fruits around. Kano just sat up, straightened her hair. Detective can't solve all his problems with sheer determination alone, but at the same time, he needs more than just the ability to coldly assess a situation. He needs the conviction to stick to a case when it might otherwise seem prudent to give up. It was something new in Shizu's expression now, and had a gleam especially. Ooh, I'm gonna stop it after this episode. I'm dozing off. It's worth nothing. Do you mind if I write that down in my notebook here? Look, Shizu said, smiling suddenly embarrassed. Aren't you in a hurry? Don't you have to get back to your case? Ah, yes. And sir, please. I need your help. at Rumi's face in his mind. There was a chance he might never see her again. He forced the thought away best he could. By the way, if I may ask, Shizu said, what was it about Rumi that made you fall in love with her? What? Where's this coming from all of a sudden? Was it her looks? No, it wasn't just that. Kano found himself tongue-tied again. I mean, she is pretty cute. Even if this is my own daughter, I'm talking about you. She shocked him by grinning from ear to ear. Well, yeah, she sure is, Kano replied, but it's more than just that. She's also very sweet and kind-hearted. She is, isn't she? Yeah, she really is. For the first time, Kano and Shizu had smiled at one another. You're a man who lets his emotions show on his face, Shizu said, and for a detective, that's not so bad. Thank you, sir, Kano said. He bowed to Shizu as he stood up from his seat. Never lose sight of what you were supposed to protect, huh? I like that. Wise words indeed. Kano turned to look back and then bowed deeply to Shizu one last time. The ability to coldly assess the situation, Kano knew what he needed to do. There was one thing that was nagging him no matter how hard he thought about it. It still didn't add up. Why would Tenteno let Al-Karan go free? He needed to get back to the precinct and get the truth from Al-Karan firsthand. As he walked along, he considered what he did know about the facts. Just what sort of plan had Alfred put into motion here? It seemed that Tanaka and Osawa held the keys to understanding it. There had been a relay handoff of phony attached case, the relay that Tanaka had been complicated in, and there was a Hitomi missing carrying the antiviral. Sawa had confirmed that himself. Kano was starting to go from a vague picture of what Alfred was up to. Mastermind's goal was to acquire the antiviral, then obtaining the cooperation of Osawa and Tanaka was vital to the plan. After all, the fingerprint verification was required to physically access the drug. They had them kidnap Maria Osawa to provide leverage against her father. No doubt that was how they gotten Vince McMahon. The police were distracted by following the attached case of Alfred, but then take the eye from Hitomi. That was the general plan for as far as Kano could summarize. Just then, a call from Kuze came in. We identified the body found inside the Bud minivan. Kano's hand tingled as he gripped the wireless. Mamoru Tanaka, male, 40 years old, employee of Okoshi Pharmaceutical, positive ID was obtained from the subject's personal belongings. What? If Tanaka was dead, it would now be almost impossible to access the antiviral drug in the laboratory. At this point, the only antiviral they had any chance of obtaining was wherever. Even if we get Maria to safety, the Mastermind is in possession of the UA virus. If they want to, they can unleash a bioterrorist attack at Shibuya anytime. Put it bluntly, the lives of every man and woman and child in the city are in their hands. Their hands. No. The chill ran down Kano's spine. If someone did release the UA virus, there would be no way to stop it from spreading. If Alpha really was planning a bioterror attack, Shibuya would well and truly become a city of the dead. He couldn't help but to feel that the whole department was playing right into Alfred's hands. Kano staggered, physically stricken by the realization of just how terrifying a foe they were up against. To be continued. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching. My name is Raven from the Sky. If you enjoyed the episode, drop a like and subscribe to the channel and the series grow. Take care, and I'll catch you guys in the next episode. Peace out.